It's your boy Cleet the
Yo, yo.
Geek. We're back. Listen, we were riding out in that last video. It's your boy Cleet the Geek here. I got G Dub. You
Yo,
know,
yo.
this is our sports review. Cleet the Geek review channel. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. All right, so you can get notified when I drop new videos like this. All right. So
Yeah.
listen, we had to dip out on that last video. Okay, it was the end of the Celtics and Knicks game. So we went and caught the rest of that. Honestly, just being real with y'all, we wanted to catch the end of that. And then we were riding out. We would probably win another hour. All right. Y'all didn't want to stay for all of that. So we broke it out into its own video so we could give the Eastern Conference the due respect. All right. There's a lot of storylines and stuff to talk about on this end. Maybe not as exciting, in my opinion, as the Western Conference, but exciting nonetheless. All right. So G Dub, you got anything to intro us in? Anything you want to say before we dive into it?
Uh, just that, Eastern Conference is where my heart lies. But I'm not
Yeah.
going to allow my heart to over motivate or under criticize like what's happening in the Eastern Conference, like Cleet mentioned, and Western Conference is where the competition is. Eastern is kind of just like, the Boston Invitational, in a lot of cases.
Ooh.
So
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
we'll get into that and kind of go through the series and yeah, let's get it.
All right. Move your mic up a little bit, bro, so we could. I want to make sure we're hearing you. You
Bad.
sound a little lower, but yeah, go ahead and say something.
Hold on, my audio.
Oh, it switched. All right. All right.
Right,
We want to
are
make
we
sure we
good?
get G
All right.
Dub right because he sounded a little lower than he was before. I mean, it could be my other headphones too, so it might
All
be
good.
fine. There we go. He sound good. Sound good. All right. So
Cool.
let's dive into it, y'all. Hey, listen, you see us fixing mics right on it. Y'all chilling with us, all right? This is what we wanted to be like. We wanted to be chill, having a great conversation. You know what I mean? We talking about sports, stuff y'all love. Like we said in the other videos, we're gonna be talking about the NBA right now. NFL season start. We're gonna be on that. We're gonna be talking about them sorry Cowboys. Okay. You know what I
Man,
mean? And we're gonna be
man.
talking about other teams. All right. So anyway, we're NBA season right now. We're in the playoffs. We're in round one, and we're doing a round one recap. Say that 5 times really fast.
Yeah.
We're doing a recap of round one, and we just did. If you haven't caught our round one recap of the Western Conference, then you can check out the other video. All right, but let's dive into this one. So let's start with
Might as well get this out the way. All right.
get it out the way, bro.
Yeah,
Let's just
yeah,
dive
yeah.
into it.
Oh, all
We could
right.
talk about off season. We could talk about the whole thing. So we're gonna go top. We're gonna go first seed and eighth seed. Okay.
Yeah, that was
Now
rough.
this
First season,
featured the
10th seed.
Cleveland.
10th seed. That's what it
Well, we're
was.
gonna we're gonna get there. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about that. So we have the Cleveland Cavaliers. Okay,
Hmm.
and we have the Miami Heat. Now,
Hmm.
to Wayne's point, NBA been doing this play-in thingy for the last 3, 4 years, and essentially it gives the ninth and tenth place teams an opportunity to make it into the playoffs. Well, for the first time, a tenth place team won the or was one of the winners coming out of the in season series, and it was the Miami Heat. So
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
theory, in reality, they were actually number 10 playing
Hmm.
number one, which
Hmm.
as we
Hmm.
kind of look at how this experiment of the in game
Play-in tournament.
I know I'm like it's sounding wrong how I'm saying it.
It's
Okay,
all
the
good.
play-in tournament. This whole concept of the in the
Play-in.
say it again. God, why I keep
Play-in
wanting to say
tournament.
in?
The
Oh, you
in-season
know what I'm
tournament
trying
is
to
what you think
say?
about.
I'm thinking about the in seasons
Yeah.
tournament. That's what I'm getting
Yeah.
confused with.
Which is a colossal waste of time, but we'll continue.
Another one, and that's what sparked my brain. Both are a
Yeah.
waste of time. So the say it one more time for me. I
The
got it on the
play-in.
third time. Play-in. So the
Hmm.
play-in, we're seeing this experiment may not work out the way that they planned it to because it's like a 10th seed team really should not be playing the first seed team. Like that's not fair to the 10th seed team. So this was what you would expect a sweeping. Now, I don't want to throw salt in the wound, but at one point, one team was up by 60 points. Okay, we're
Yeah.
going to have to
Yeah.
address that.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you the floor because this is your team. I'm going to let you talk about it. But last thing I'll say on this whole series was obviously it wasn't really competitive. And we see because it's a 10th seed versus the first seed. But to see a team down by 60 points in a playoff game, it is mind baffling. I mean, I wasn't even watching the game. I just happened to turn it on and I couldn't believe the score I was looking at. I was like, what is like this is a joke? And to be honest,
Well,
it could have been worse. They actually
yeah,
pulled the starters out in the third quarter. So, yeah,
yeah. So I mean, the 1 versus 8 went the same way in the Western Conference, right? Like so, and we had a
51
55
points.
point game,
Yeah,
right? So it's
yeah.
not like unheard of. But the reality is that the makeup of this Miami Heat team is flawed, unfortunately. And uh, as a fan, you want to believe in the guy. I just looked at a stat earlier today. This is kind of crazy, right? Since 2014, or yeah, since 2014, the Miami Heat have been to the finals 3 times, right? Like, which is only behind, I think, Golden State, right? In that time frame. And it's like, okay, well, you can't say the regime does not know how to build a good basketball team. You can't say the coach does not know how to coach a good basketball team. And you can't say the makeup of other basketball teams are what we should follow because no one else has had more success than Golden State, which is the dynasty of our time, right? So it like I initially right after the season, fresh raw feelings. I was like, man, come on, Pat, it's time. It's time to be able to get some new feels in there. And um, now that I'm thinking about it more, that's not necessarily the right method because you look at these teams out of the last 7 championship teams, right? The last 7 championship teams are Golden State, Cleveland, San Antonio, Toronto, LA, Denver, and Boston, right? The
Hmm.
last 7 championship team, only 2 of those teams have the same coach, right? From the championship that they won, the last 7 championships team, only 2 of them have the same coach. These
So wait,
coaches,
give me
the
that stat again. The last seven championship
last seven
teams.
championship teams, right?
Uh-huh.
All the ones that have won championships since 2014, right? It's Golden State who's won 4, Cleveland who won 1, San Antonio won 1, Toronto won 1, LA won 1,
Mm.
Denver won 1, and Boston won 1, right?
Wait, you
Only
forgot the Bucks. They
oh,
definitely
and the
won.
Bucks. You're right.
Oh.
Um, why did I put the Bucks on here? Crazy. Yeah, you're right about the Bucks, but even the Bucks don't have the same coach that won a championship with them, right?
Mm.
Like these teams, even after you win, they're like, "Yep, got to go." And look at all those teams. Out of those teams that I named, who are the ones that are still competing for championships? San Antonio's not, and they kept their coach, so I won't even use them. Cleveland's not. Toronto's not. LA isn't. Denver, maybe we'll see, but they got rid of their coach this season. Boston still has their coach and your boy, the crazy guy, and then the Warriors have their same coach. So Boston and the Warriors are the consistency, and this guy Mazzulla has been there. He was under Ime Udoka, so maybe you want to say that's consistency, but they still fired their coach after being close to a championship, and he won last year, so we'll see how long he lasts. But like NBA teams are adopting this model of like get rid of winning coaches, get them out of here. Like you just won a couple.
Yeah.
Mike Malone
Because we
won 2 years ago,
because we want
right?
something different.
Want
Yeah.
something different, and we got to
Yeah.
blow it up. And it's like, is that the model? Because how many of these teams have repeated getting to the finals, right? Like, and don't get me wrong, the Heat aren't winning the finals, so maybe you want to put that, but they're getting there,
Well,
right?
see, and
They're
and and that's where obviously, y'all, we've had this argument off camera, right? Or this conversation off camera, where I disagree. Yes, it's like this when you look at so there's always the eye test, right? We get into this debate. It's the eye test and it's the stats, right? So Wayne loves to pull the stats. I pull stats as well, but I'm also looking at the eye test, right? So from the eye test, yes. Well, sorry, from
yeah,
a
yeah.
statistical perspective, right? Yes, they have won, they have gotten there, but from an eye oh my gosh, you about to hear Rocket jump into this conversation. He has something to say apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but from an eye test perspective, um, I would say that oh, okay. That's what it is. Okay. I'm like, what is he barking for? All right. I'm gonna have to cut this part out. Rocket, stop. Okay. And
My
I'm
eye
gonna
test.
make
Yeah,
a little. Okay. All right. And what was I saying? Oh
the
yeah.
eye test.
Yeah. So okay. So from an eye test perspective, what you realize is they never had the full makeup to win. So we were talking about in our other video in the Western Conference, we talked about how there's certain ingredients needed for a team to win, right? So if we take the Miami Heat, we look and you say, okay, coaching, check. All right. We
Mm-hmm.
say you have a superstar that can hit some big shots. Yes, Jimmy can
Mm-hmm.
give you that. Wow, I would say partially because he's, in my opinion, similar to a Kawhi, where Kawhi has an injury that he's been ailing to make it
Mm-hmm.
as far as
Mm-hmm.
he has. I believe Jimmy never had the endurance that's
Mm-hmm.
necessary to go long term, and you can see it. It's evident, and anytime he has any type of injury, it takes him out, right? It takes
Mm-hmm.
him out of the equation. Um, so that's something to think about. I would also say that you know, so you got the coaching, you got you have the player, the
Superstar.
superstar
Yeah.
player, but the others, I think you had some really decent others, but there weren't that next level. Like you have some holes, and I think you have to admit there are some holes in the roster that never really got addressed. You had some pieces that they kind of homegrown to
Yeah.
try to make it work. Like you had the Gabe Vincents, you have the guy over in Cleveland right
Max
now,
Struess.
Max Struess, right? You had these
Mm-hmm.
homegrown people, even your guy 55,
Duncan Robinson.
Duncan
Mm-hmm.
Robinson. But when it gets to that playoff mode, right? Even if they can take it all the way there, it's still not enough to get the job done. And that's what
Yeah.
the Heat have shown over the years. So it was some personnel issues, personnel holes that they just never addressed because they had this kind of arrogance, in my opinion, that we can do it what we got. And it's
Well, the
like, well,
arrogance came from like we've done it, right? Like, and I misspoke earlier. There's one of the team that had more championships appearances. It was the Cavs, right? So it was when LeBron was there, they went 4 times with the Warriors, back to
right,
back to back. But then right after that, it's the Heat. So it's like you have the arrogance because like Boston has had the since the Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum arrival, they have been crowned as like, oh yeah, they're just gonna do it. They're gonna do it. They're gonna do it. And
right.
every year the anticipation is like Boston. I remember when the Heat played Boston, we were the 8, they were the 1. They had a 97% chance of winning. Right, like all the analytics was like 97% chance, and Heat win that series and go on to the finals. Lost to the Nuggets, but it's like the person who is just giving it, like we had to go and earn it, and because of that, that just continues to put coals in the fire for like the Heat culture because it's like y'all trying y'all way, y'all ain't winning, y'all wasn't getting to championships. Now, mind you, this last Boston iteration, this super team, okay, we're not counting that.
And that's what I was about to say. Like, I think there's some caveats in that argument. So here's the thing. Um, so when the Heat did win, it was because of those,
Superstar,
as
yeah,
as your coach calls, as your president calls it, the white whales, right? The whale hunting. You guys
yeah,
would do some
yeah,
whale
yeah,
hunting, right? So let's look at the first championship. Y'all went out and got Shaquille O'Neal,
yeah. But
okay?
he was not quite Shaq. That
But
championship was won
he's
by Dwayne Wade, right?
but but but
2006.
but he needed to be he if think about how Steph plays, right? Steph draws, right? So that's what
Mm-hmm.
Shaq
Mm-hmm.
would do. At the very least, having Shaq on the court, you're gonna draw double teams. You're gonna draw like he was drawing all his attention to him. That allowed Dwayne Wade to operate the way that he operated. If there's no Shaq, then there's no playing off of, you know what I mean? There's no attention that goes to this other
Yeah, okay,
guy.
okay.
Okay. So it started with that, right? That was our first win, and that was the template to win. And then you took it to the next level when you brought LeBron James,
And Chris
okay,
Bosh.
and Chris Bosh.
Mm-hmm.
So to think that, okay, we're gonna go away from that template, it's not correct. Like you haven't shown that you could win without it. You
Well,
get
see,
close, but
the
you haven't
the
been able to win.
the model was like, or the hope was that Bam would be the new Dwayne Wade, and then our white whale was Jimmy, right? And unfortunately, or Tyler Hero would have been the next Dwayne Wade, and then the superstar was Jimmy. That didn't materialize. Like it's not like he didn't try. He went and got, and don't get me wrong, I'm a big Bam fan. I know he was in the Olympics for a reason. He got selected by that team, and Grant Hill went over like the selection process for this is pretty meticulous. He got selected for a reason, but the problem is what we needed, especially in this NBA, you're going to need a lot of offensive prowess. You're going to need a 1A, 1B who can go get a shot, go get a bucket when you need it. And that he was hoping for the development of those two players. Tyler Hero took a step this year to become a better scorer, but he still needs to be like he right now he's like a 20-point scorer. He's got to be in order for this core to win, he's got to be like a 28 per game, 30-point per game type of scorer, like a Donovan Mitchell. Like anytime I want to score, I'm going to score, and he's just not that.
And
He is a
let's put
good
this
scorer,
and let's put this in perspective. So they were in the finals in 2020 versus
Yep.
the Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Hero was on that team. And to
Mm-hmm. He
your
got hurt.
point, right? But to your point, you're saying they were hoping they would develop. We're in 2025, so almost 5 years later, he finally makes it to his first All-Star,
Mm-hmm.
nod, right?
Mm-hmm.
His All-Star game. So you take someone like Jimmy, and they put that in perspective. Like, yo, I had to wait 5 years for these guys finally to get to a place where, to your point, I can be his superstar to him being my Dwayne Wade.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they had their clock had ran out at that point. And Jimmy's whole argument was what did you do? You 5 years you want to
But
develop these guys and they're still not in the top 20 conversation in the league. Those
I
guys.
think that Pat Riley recognized that, but I think it was just difficult to acquire things with the assets that we had. Right. And we put all of our eggs in the Dame basket. If Dame was here last year instead of Tyler Hero, this is a much different conversation. Right?
I
Like
agree. I
it
agree.
becomes like, oh my God, the Dame Bam Jimmy trio,
Yeah,
that is a
so much
potential
better than
championship
Milwaukee
team.
Bucks. And we'll get
Right.
into Milwaukee. That's a tragedy over there.
See you later, to
Um
be honest. But
But yeah, you're
so
right. That was the move. But once
and,
again, you couldn't land a move, and we can have a whole episode on the Heat, okay? But there's some debate on why people weren't coming there, and the culture, and you
still,
know,
but even with all that, the team with the most championship appearances is this team. Everybody else who's playing basketball to get to the championship has not been able to get to the not even appear in the finals. Right. So like to think that like you got the Lakers been once, Milwaukee's been once, Phoenix been once, Raptors been once, Nuggets been once, Mavericks has been once. All of those are once. We've been there 3 times. So which model is working? Is the rest of the NBA model work outside of Golden State because you got a freaking
you
best shooter
just
God ever created,
you
right?
just made an argument for why the Warriors might go to the
It's possible.
finals.
It's
Because
possible, right?
Jimmy went there with some as they were saying on ESPN one day with some plumbers and carpenters. Okay,
Yeah, yeah, he
Jimmy
did.
Jimmy
If
Jimmy's
Jimmy
a
if
he's
Jimmy
a
is
great leader.
healthy, it
Yeah,
is going to be a problem with him himself. The only problem I think that team has is size, and if
yeah.
and unfortunately they ran into a team that I think size is going to be a shoe,
It's going to
but
be an
we'll
issue,
see.
yeah. But yeah, we'll
We'll
see on
see.
the West Coast. We talked
Um,
enough about them. So, all right. So, listen, I understand it's a sore spot.
just saying.
Them guys are out.
They deserve to be
It's
swept.
always yeah. It's always
And
next season.
you know,
You know what I mean?
there isn't like next season's not gonna look good. We don't have a lottery pick. And I don't know what Pat Riley's gonna do, but after everything, I'm going to trust him to like, hey man, I'm gonna trust you make decisions. You've
Hey
done better than
man,
every other exec
maybe
in the
he
league.
stepped down like Pop did. Pop just stepped down. So
Health
maybe he stepped.
reasons, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So, all right, we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on. All right. So Boston Celtics. I mean, not a lot here, right? We got Boston Celtics versus the Orlando Magic. Now,
Yeah.
that's our area. We're in Orlando, so we were home team for this, but it's the Orlando Magic. What they do, in my opinion, they train up great players and they send them off to go do great things. But
Yeah. Your
they,
Shaq's, Dwight, Tracy
yeah,
McGrady, like,
yeah,
just,
they they don't keep good talent. I don't know what their deal is, but that series that was a 5-game series. Celtics won 4-1. Okay.
I'm gonna just say this about the Magic, man. Magic have had some great defense.
Yeah.
But they're going against a team like the Celtics, you got to score points,
They
right?
gotta
And
score,
like
and
gotta
you're
you
seeing this
can't,
running theme with a lot of the younger teams. It's like when it
yeah,
gets to the nitty gritty, they can't
they
score.
can't score,
They can
can't
play
score.
good defense. They're athletic. They have all this potential, but they haven't perfected that thing we talked about in the other video, where it's like the slowing down the game. So you look at somebody like
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Brunson, who we'll talk about in a few minutes here. You can see he has gotten to that place in his career where the game slows down, so he
Mm-hmm.
can make
Mm-hmm.
split second decisions, and that hasn't happened for like
Paolo Banchero,
Paulo,
yeah,
yeah, and and even this German kid, the
Wagner,
Wagner,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but yeah, one thing I'll say too about the Magic, they didn't have Slugs, which is a
Jalen
big
Suggs, yeah,
Suggs, which is a
yeah,
Suggs, which is a big deal because he's a great defender for them. He gets he's not necessarily a great scorer, but he creates opportunities for him. He's like their version of over at the Knicks. Uh,
Anunoby.
no, the rebounding short kid, 6'4". He does everything. He's like their Swiss Army knife.
Oh, Josh Hart,
Josh Hart, yeah, he's their
yeah,
version of Josh Hart, right? He's a lockdown defender. He's scrappy. He gets boards. Like he really sets the tone for them. And then they
yeah,
didn't have the other Wagner brother,
yeah. He
which
got hurt.
yeah. So, I think that would have, they always give Boston some problems,
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I think they were missing those guys who would help them, because, they always say defense wins,
Championships.
championships. And I think a lot of times defense, if you're playing great defense, it's going to create offense opportunities for you. So, it's more promising
I
there,
mean,
but nothing to
they did a good
see.
job, like the like keeping Boston off the 3-point line. But like
They
once they got in
did.
the half
They
court,
did.
they got in
Yeah.
their own half court after they had a great defensive stop. Now you got to go score, and Boston's playing great D on you. So yes, defense is still win championship because
Yeah.
Boston wouldn't let you score.
Yeah.
You wouldn't let you create, and so
That's very similar to the Rockets, right? It was the same thing.
yeah,
Like they
yeah.
played great defense on the other end, but when it got down to a half court, they could not score. I would say on the Boston side, two notable things that I saw. You had Drew Holiday dealing with some hamstring issues, and that's going to be
Mm-hmm.
tough as they get further into the playoffs. I mean, especially if he's not going to be able to get rest. Now, I'm not trying to give a leeway for the game. We're already in round two, but they were talking about him coming off of those hamstring injuries, and he's still trying to get his legs under him. The other thing is this issue with Jalen
Brown.
Brown's knee. It's a thing,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
can see it in his shot. He's not getting good lift on his shot. So that's going to be something to watch as they move forward. Obviously, they're in round two right now playing the Knicks. And we'll talk about predictions at the end of this video. But yeah, guys, it's something to think about. Like, man, if you to your point, to Wayne's point, if you're going to the healthiest team is the team that's going to naturally win, right? We saw that
Mm-hmm.
back in the Cleveland and Warrior series
Mm-hmm.
when,
Mm-hmm.
it was a thing, right? We saw that in that same with the Warriors and the Raptors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Guys
Mm-hmm.
got injured. There was
Mm-hmm.
literally an invincible team.
Mm-hmm.
So injuries are a difference maker in any series. I don't care what team you are. So that's Boston and the Magic. Anything else
Yeah.
there? Nope.
Nah, man. Boston did their thing, and the one contender that they talk about that Boston was gonna have was the Cavs. So we'll see like
Yeah.
what they end up doing. But for right now, like we cannot sneeze at also and just assume that the Cavs are gonna move are gonna be able to move through everything because the East is I call it the Boston Invitational, but these teams are playing, right? And I'll give you
Yeah.
one team that I'm really surprised at, and it's the Pacers, right?
Well, we're gonna
Like,
get into that. Yeah, save that because there's some good parts there. We're gonna end it up with that. Let's jump into the slugfest, the Knicks and the Pistons.
the slugfest.
Let's
I mean, what is it? It ended in 6 games, right?
Well, they were fighting. They were. I'm saying
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
a very. It was. I
for
mean, there
sure.
weren't actual fist fights, but it was a very scrappy series. Shout out to these Pistons, man. Like
Yeah,
who?
yeah.
No one saw them coming. We had our pre note conversation before this show about how Monty Williams had these guys, and in less than a year, they went from what the worst record in the league to making the playoffs,
Yep.
essentially. Yeah,
Yep.
one of the biggest turnarounds in NBA history. So it's very fascinating to see that. Now this went 6 games. The Knicks end up winning, in Game 6, and they have moved on to round 2 where they're facing the Boston Celtics. Now,
Yes.
this series had a lot of intrigue. Obviously, the other Thompson twin,
Osar.
Asar,
Mm-hmm.
is on the Pistons, and it's like I felt like they were just changing jerseys and going to play
Yeah,
another
yeah.
game because
It's
I
like
can't see any
braided
difference
hair.
in their game. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah, you just braid my hair real quick and then act like I'm not the same person. So they're just like splitting images of each other. Very athletic. I think the one over in the Rockets is a little bit better from what everyone says,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
honestly, the eye test you can't really tell, in my opinion. So I enjoy watching him. Beasley actually stepped up. I had written him
Mm-hmm.
off. Like when he went over to the Bucks, like just not performing. When he was with the Lakers, just not performing. Like I
Yeah.
was just like, dude, you when you were with the Jazz, like I was like, this guy is he was with the Jazz, right? Or was
I
it?
don't remember where he was before the Lakers.
Yeah, I want to say he's with the Jazz. Um, but when he came over, yeah, I want to say it's the Jazz. I'll look it up in a second. But when he came over to the Lakers, I was excited at the time because I'm like, this guy can shoot, and that's what the Lakers needed. It just didn't translate. But it seemed like he found a role as a veteran over in the Pistons. So it was really good to see that. I also liked seeing this young fella, okay, Cade Cunningham.
Yeah,
Okay,
Kate Cunningham.
this guy, he got the stuff, man. He has the tangibles and the intangibles, right? You can see the floor general aspect. He has the size, he has shot making ability. He's not afraid of the moment. I just think, once again, it's this youth thing, right? He has to figure out
Mm-hmm.
how to slow the game down. He has to figure out how to do what Jalen Brunson did to him. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Jalen is the highlight for me. Cat did cat stuff, right? Cat is always like just erratic, and he's just gonna go off one game and then not show up the next game, very much like AD type of player. But Jalen Bronson showed me like what IQ looks like, right? He reminds
Mm-hmm.
me of a Rondo and
Mm-hmm.
like LeBron, right? Those guys who like they're so cerebral, right? They're like 3 steps ahead of you. And the only reason they may not win is because there may be their body physically can't get them to do the things they're thinking of. But
Yep.
if it was based on their intelligence and their IQ, they'll win every game because he's just that smart. And you can tell, you can see it how he dissects angles, how he draws fouls. They talk about he hunts fouls, but I think he really like Jimmy Butler is another cerebral player where
Mm-hmm.
they're able to slow the game down and they're able to get the shots and basically manipulate the game the way that they want it so that they can benefit, their team. So shout out to Jalen Brunson. I mean, man, listen, I don't know what's going over in Dallas. The Cowboys are, ugh. And then you got the Mavericks. They just giving away people and they literally just giving away people. This is what they
Yeah.
do. They're becoming the new Magic.
What's kind of crazy is like I think Wendy said this on ESPN last season that Jalen Brunson's contract is probably the best value of any contract because he doesn't have a crazy contract like these other guys. And he decided to take less money this past offseason so he could play, keep Josh Hart and the rest of the team together, which was pretty sacrificial. And it was like I think it was a lot of money. I don't want to, get in his pockets, but that's crazy.
Nah. So
Okay,
Jalen
but
Brunson, in my opinion, I think he is obviously the MVP of that series. He just showed his IQ was on another level, man. And when it really boiled down to it, those guys couldn't score. They couldn't make buckets. Another team, very similar to the Magic. It's like they just could not. They couldn't capitalize. They were playing good defense at times, but they couldn't capitalize on it.
yeah, so I remember what I was saying before, which was that Jalen Brunson's value is crazy.
Oh yeah,
And like
yeah.
his contract, and his decision to like, all right, well, I'm gonna play here, and in a lot of ways it pays off because you get to play with people that you really enjoy playing with, and
Yeah.
that's what makes them a good team. Um, I think that his clutch ability, obviously, the stats show he's number one in the league. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. And he's gonna make the big time shots, and that's what you really want. However, Becky Hammond said this, man, sometime maybe last year on NBA Today, and she got a lot of flack for it because she said she cannot, in her mind, and she's a really great basketball coach, coached under Pop, right? And led the Las Vegas Aces to back to back to back appearances and also two-time champion. Um, she can't see in her mind how you can build a team where your best player is your shortest player, right?
Mm,
And it's like Steph Curry is an exception to that. Like he's not the rule, but the rule is when you have a player that's under 6 feet and he's your best player, that's not necessarily a championship
yeah,
caliber
we
team.
saw
So
that
we
with Chris Paul.
right, right. So when we're talking about the Heat makeup and like, okay, well the roster's flawed. Knicks are good. Are they good enough to win a championship? Maybe, maybe
That's a
not.
good
Right? Like
point you make. No, to
so.
your point, it's like what we were talking about with your Heat, right? I think that's an acknowledgement. It's like as good as he can be, will that be enough down the stretch when he really goes down to it? Like, are you able to put, let's say if they like they're in a series with Boston, you know, uh, all things healthy in a vacuum, a healthy Jalen, Brown, and a healthy, what's the other J?
Jason Tatum.
Jason Tatum. Those guys are going to clamp down on him. Then you got Derek White, right? They're going to really
Yeah,
clamp
yeah,
down on him. A healthy Drew Holiday, right?
yeah,
So you can
yeah.
throw a number of defenders at this guy, and I mean that you take him out. What does the rest of the team
Who are
really
the
do?
Knicks,
So
right? Like, are they who's? I mean, now they did do a good move. I do like the Mikal Bridges move for playing Boston specifically because I think Mikal Bridges is another person that can go get a shot. I think Cat is the most like you could be good, bro, but then you're not. Like, it's hard to really gauge how good he
yeah,
is. But I think without Jalen Brunson, the Knicks aren't much of anything.
yeah,
Um, and going back to the Pistons real quick, they had one of the biggest turnarounds, 40 game turnaround from season one to season to this season with not a lot of pieces changing. So I definitely give them credit. They were in every game. Cade Cunningham, showed that guy's a superstar. I or a superstar in the making, excuse me. Malik Beasley, as good as he did, and yes, he did play for the Lakers, the Jazz before going to the Lakers, the Timberwolves before that, and then the Nuggets before that. Um,
hey,
I
oh
think he
yeah,
messed up. That he had a chance to tie that game, and he dropped the pass. Right, like I think, and again, he led the league. I think in 3-point field goals made this year. Um,
it's
and
like you don't even get the shot off. Like, come
right, like
on, you can't
that's
make
the
those kind of
moment. That
mistakes.
is the moment you get that number one 3-point champion, if you want to call it that, in the regular season, so that in the playoffs you got that moment. They called a really great play. He got a wide open look and drops the ball. Like, okay, man. So they still got some team building to do. I don't think anybody expected anything of a Detroit. They are way, like they call it, ahead of schedule. Good young team. But Jalen Brunson was just too much for
Yeah.
them. And kudos to him. He's a really good player. But again, I don't see the Knicks going very far.
Yeah, they don't have the formula for depth for going a long way. I would agree.
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
agree. All right, well let's end it up with the Pacers and the Bucks. Now this series went 5 games, and the Pacers, the I would say the X factor in the playoffs this season. And I don't know why we're sleeping on these guys because last year they were in the conference finals. But for whatever reason, from the eye test as we go, as we talked about, they are, because they don't appear to be a defense that is, excuse me, they don't appear to be a team that is rooted in great defense. I think they often get overlooked. And then, you have the league rated by the players. The players are saying that, Halliburton is the most overrated player in the league, right?
hmm
So you just
hmm
have a lot of players, a lot of media. personalities, they don't believe in this guy and they don't believe in the team. And they give him a lot of credit. When you really look at the game, it's always a team effort. He's more of a
Mm-hmm.
distributor than he is a takeover player. Now he just hit a game winner to win the series for them against Giannis. Took out a
Mm-hmm.
giant,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
giant slayer. But he doesn't always have to play that game. Like his game is really getting everyone involved and facilitating and then taking shots when he's open. So this series had a lot of at the beginning of it, it looked like it was going to be a decent series, but I just think the Bucks are at their end, right? I think
Yeah,
Giannis is
yeah.
on his way out. They just don't have that energy. They're just like, yeah, that was their last run. It kind of looked like the Phoenix Suns in the regular season. Like you can tell
Mm-hmm.
they've run their course. This is the end of their whole big three, their whole makeup, right? So they were just going through the motions. I feel like the Bucks, they hit this wall as well, and unfortunately you have a player like Dame who everyone loves that just, man, he just ran against father time in this moment.
Yeah.
His body started breaking down on him. It goes from having a what is called a vein embolism.
Deep vein thrombosis, DVT.
Thrombosis. There we go.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
A deep vein thrombosis, right? Which is what what they call him, the alien, with Wembenyama, right? Is what
Mm-hmm.
he
Mm-hmm.
has, right? And
Mm-hmm.
he's getting over that. But they cleared him for the series, and coming back from being probably a little rusty and not being able to work out at full throttle,
Mm-hmm.
he ends up tearing his
Achilles.
Achilles.
Yeah.
Devastating injury, right? So I mean, at age 32, 33, it's going to take him a whole year to repair it. And then it's talking about, you look at someone like Klay Thompson, even with technology, you still see, an investment in the medical field. You still see that the player still doesn't come back quite like themselves. Now, you have some exceptions, like I know my guy over there with the Mavericks has done with Dinwiddie.
Dinwiddie. Yeah.
Dinwiddie, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dinwiddie, hold on, let my glasses interrupt. All right, thank you, glasses. Um, Glasses need to charge, but hey, this is Cleet the Geek stuff. Don't worry about it, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but Dinwiddie, he came back from one of those as well, and he's been able to have a decent career. But you see, he's a six man, right? He's a six man at best. He comes off the bench. So you're talking about for star players or major role players, it's really tough to come back and be effective, right? And be
Mm-hmm.
consistently effective. So I think that's going to be something with Dame. And to be honest, when he comes back, Giannis will, I'm like 90% sure
He's
that
not gonna
the
be
Giannis
there.
will be gone. So
Yeah.
Dame is going to be looking for another team when he finally does get back into shape. So that's going to be interesting. But yeah, I think this series was more about the Bucks running out of steam and just at the end of their road, more so than it was the Pacers just so much better. However, Pacers are a really good team, and they're in the second round. They're facing Cleveland
Cleveland.
Cavaliers, and they're already
Mm-hmm.
showing that they need some respect on their name. So we don't want to give away the games. We don't know where you guys are watching this video, so we don't want to give away the games for the second round yet. But let's just say the Pacers are off to a good start.
Yeah, and I mean, like the truth of the matter is they were a much better team, the Pacers. Like you said,
Yeah.
Eastern Conference Finals last year, they got, I don't know if they got swept over the 5 games, but Halliburton got hurt in that series. And after, when Halliburton
Oh
is
yeah.
done, um, if he's not playing at an optimal level, that team just doesn't work, right? They are
Right.
Halliburton dependent. Less like, the Heat were Jimmy dependent.
Yeah.
Um,
And the Knicks are Jalen Brunson
Brunson
dependent.
dependent,
Yep.
right? So like you can't win a series without your best player, right? Like I just no name a team that can win without their best player. So as long as he stays healthy and if he can continue to do what he's been doing, the Pacers are going to be scary because they can get up and down the floor, they can score points, and they play good defense.
They play to their
And
game. They play with
Right.
pace.
They definitely play with pace. So shout out to Rick Carlisle. Thought his career was dead, and that man came back and was
Yeah.
like, "No, I got this model, and let me go ahead and work it." So I really like the Pacers and what they're able to do with a bunch of. You say a name on the Pacers, you'd be like, "Who is that?" But they put together a really good and deep
Nah, they
team.
got noticeable players. You got Siakam,
Oh,
who's a
Siakam, yeah,
vet who
Siakam,
won,
and a
right?
champion, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
You got Nemhart, you got
you got Nembhard is a newer guy, but he's
Miles
already known
Turner.
throughout the league for his defense. You got Miles Turner, who's a shooting three. He stretches, you know. You got Mathurin, who is a solid. He is like
Got athleticism.
your castle kind of
Yeah, it's
player,
Stephon
right?
Castle. Yeah.
Yeah, so he can hit the
Like I said,
shot. He's athletic. And remember, they didn't have him last season too. He was hurt.
right? He was hurt. But
So
who is the super I guess Siakam. So Tyrese
Siakam,
Halliburton,
come on,
Siakam.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I give you that.
He's consistent.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
consistent. He's like your Randall. He's better than Randall in my opinion because he can hit the three. Just well, no, they're the same because they both can hit the
Yeah.
three.
Except for one of them has a championship ring. So that makes a
And then let's
difference.
be honest, Siakam, if he didn't play the way he played and Van Vliet didn't play the way he played, and then
They
you
don't
got to
win,
give
for
Kyle
sure.
Lowry some
Yeah,
credit too.
yeah.
So, but Siakam carried like one of those games. He won. He scored 32 points. Won one of those
Mm-hmm.
games.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's a solid, B. That's a solid, what you would call him a Robin to
Yeah. To the
Halliburton
Batman.
Batman.
Yeah.
And then you got this guy, the shooting big. You got
Miles
Mathurin
Turner.
now, who's here, and then
Yeah.
this dude Nemhard. He respect this man. He can
Yeah,
play.
yeah. I'm not saying that they can't play. I just said that they're just not your household names, right?
Of
Indiana's
course,
not a
yeah,
big market
yeah,
team,
yeah. You're
so
right.
it's
You're right.
like,
You're right.
okay, who? But these guys, they can really play. They're gonna challenge the heck out of Cleveland in the next series. But in this particular series, I thought Bucks team is just like what? Like what is on this team? What? Kyle Kuzma, dude.
Oh
And the only
my.
reason I'm getting on this guy is because he talks so much shit. Oh yeah, he's the guy. You go, oh, I'm a scorer. I mean, I'm like, bro,
And it's
just
like,
like,
bro, like, and I know he
mm,
won a title, but it's like, bro, like, y'all better off keeping, your boy, Middleton. They would have better off keeping
yeah,
Middleton
yeah,
because it's
yeah,
like you
yeah.
were not an upgrade. Like you
He's not
did
not even
nothing.
close to one.
You
And
did
let's
nothing.
elephant in the room. I'm all about supporting black coaches, man. We don't have enough, but man, this guy needs not to be on the coaching bench anymore. He does not like what are you doing? You just standing
He,
with your hands in your pockets like Arthur, man. Like, bro, do something.
he's,
Okay?
he's a player's coach, man. They just love him, man. He's just one of those guys where you just love to be around, but it's like, hey, we're supposed to be winning a game,
I'm
right?
trying to win a championship,
So,
guys.
yeah,
Trying to
yeah.
win a championship.
So,
Again, respect to him because he gets in those positions and he's trailblazed, allowed other black coaches to be able to get in that position. But bro, it's time to like let this go
yeah,
and
yeah,
not be on the sidelines because for one, when you've got Giannis, should not be
yeah,
happening. That's why they fired
yeah,
Budenholzer. They were like, bro, we couldn't. And then you gonna step in like, yeah, and then no, the other guy stepped in, the black
yeah.
coach, and then he got fired, and then you go step in. It's like,
Mid-season,
bro,
yeah, yeah.
no, come on, come on.
Yeah,
So
man. That
Giannis
that
is
that
gone.
Yeah,
So
they need that
that's
whole organization need to hit a reset. They need a new coach. They need a new GM. They just need to like go back to the drawing board, start building from scratch, man. They
yeah,
they need to be in
yeah,
a rebuild.
yeah.
And that's the first round. I mean, it was not at nowhere near as exciting as the Western Conference,
West,
but
yep.
listen, we're already in the second round. We wanted to get this episode to you guys, and we're gonna close this out with our predictions for second round for
Hmm.
the Eastern Conference, and then we'll be out your way, man. I hope y'all have enjoyed this time with us. But all right, let's do it. So we have in the second round right now, we have the Boston Celtics and we have the Knicks, the New York Knicks, and
Hmm.
then we also have
Cavs and Pacers.
the Cavs and Pacers. So go ahead
Yeah.
and give your predictions. I'll give mine, and we will get it going.
All right, so I'm gonna start this off with the Knicks in Boston. Like I said earlier, I still think the East is the Boston Invitational until proven otherwise. Even with a hobbled Jalen Brown, even with a hobbled what's his
Drew
guy name?
Holiday.
Drew Holiday, even with like Jason Tatum going through some stuff with his wrist, they just
Yeah,
got too much firepower. Like Pete
they do.
said not too long ago, he was like, "Oh, they can put Jaylen Brown on Brunson. They can put Jason Tatum on Brunson. They can put Derek White on Brunson. They
Yeah,
can put Drew Holiday on Brunson. Like,
yeah.
bro, what? That's
They
just
got options. Yeah.
too many options, too much firepower. So I think, Knicks in five. Sorry, no, Celtics in five on that one.
Okay. Wow.
Knicks will definitely get one. I think they play hard, but like, nah, I don't think that's happening.
Wow.
And Knicks have not won. I don't know the result of the current game, but Knicks have not beat a top four team in the East all season. They lost every single time they played against them. So I think, you know, that's the mean at this point for them. So I
Okay.
got again Boston in five.
All right. So, really quick, I'll go with Boston in six. I think the Knicks are gonna get you two at least. Like they're gonna need to get one on the road, which I think they have the ability to do with Jalen Bronson's IQ, and then I think they're gonna get you one at home, right? It's just gonna be New York. It's like it's gonna be hyped. It's gonna be all this stuff.
Yeah.
So I think they get you two, but I don't know if they could get you more than that. To your point, to Wayne's point earlier, he mentioned that just like the Heat, there's some holes in the roster, right? So it's like everything relies on this guy, and he already has ankle. He already is working with an element himself,
Banged
right?
up. Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
banged up. So you talking about one wrong fall, one twisting of the ankle, and they're out of it. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can sustain or prevent that from happening for two more series, right? Because you would have to win this series, win the finals, the Eastern Conference Finals, and then go to the finals. So
Final. Yeah.
very unlikely. So I'm gonna go with Celtics in five. All right.
You said six first. You changing to five?
Oh, I'm sorry, six. In
Yeah.
my brain,
Okay.
I saw six, but I said five. Six.
Okay.
Celtics is
That's what you really believe. Five. It's got to be five.
oh
They'll
Lord.
get
All
one.
right.
They'll get one in Madison Square, but that's it. That's about it.
Okay.
Um,
And then what you
Next one,
got for Pacers and
Cavs.
the Cavs?
Honestly, if you would have asked me this question before they started game one, I would have had a different answer. I didn't think I thought the Cavs would annihilate the Pacers just because of what they did to the Heat and what they've done honestly all season, right? They've been a
Yeah.
really good offensive team, but the pace that the Pacers play at really caught the Cavs by surprise. I still think though, in the end, Cavs will end up taking this one. We didn't talk about the Cavs too much, but I think the Cavs are a ridiculously deep team.
They are.
Um,
They
and I
rotate deep.
think, Donovan Mitchell can take off like just
Yeah, but I
whenever
think
he
it's a
wants to.
disadvantage for them though. If they have gotten to where they are by their ball movement
Yeah,
and
yeah.
sharing the ball. So if he become ball dominant, they all just start standing around and looking very similar to a LeBron situation, and that's
Mm-hmm,
not
mm-hmm.
a recipe for success. But
But
I digress.
he can take over a game. He can
Yeah,
give you 40, he can give you 50, and they got shooters and they got bigs.
yeah,
Yeesh. Yeesh. So I'm gonna take Cavs in six on this one. Um, if you would have asked me before the Pacers won that game, I probably would have said Cavs in like 5 and 4. But Pacers, I think, are gonna give them a good run for their money. But I think
yeah.
Cleveland's gonna come back and with a vengeance next game.
Yeah, I would say I'm gonna go Cavs in seven, and reason being is because the Pacers are here and they demand respect. I think they're a legitimate team. They have both a healthy Halliburton and a Ben Mathurin, so
Mm-hmm,
you
mm-hmm,
have to respect that because this guy, even though he's a little elusive and a little wild at times, he's that extra piece, that extra defender, that extra scorer. He's like that OG Anunoby type of player that
mm-hmm,
they
mm-hmm.
that they were missing last year. So you take him with Nimhar, he just makes big shots like a Derek Fisher. He makes big shots. He plays great defense. He has the confidence of a superstar, even though he's a role player. So
Mm-hmm.
you take those pieces, and you can't deny that. I think Cleveland, and while they have been dominant all season, they are a very deep team. They're gonna have to respect them. So I think it goes game seven, but I think Cleveland comes out of here and they're prepared for the next series. And I think if Cleveland's gonna take their next step in their evolution, then they have to win this series, and have to go through a slugfest to win it. But I think if they come out of that, they're going to win the East because they'll go into that next game with either Boston and New York having dealt with the Pacers,
Uh-huh.
and that would have catapulted the whole team to be you know ready to get to the finals and take it to the next step. So that's what I think. I think it was going to have to go a game 7, and I think rightfully so because it'll prepare them for the next round. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool.
So listen,
Yeah,
y'all.
yeah.
Hey, that's the Eastern Conference. We had to break this down in 2 videos because there was a lot to cover. I think what we'll try to do in the future, we'll try to get into it a little earlier so we won't have to do the whole thing. So more content to come from us. Listen, we're gonna be breaking down sports like we talked about. We're gonna be talking about football, basketball, right? Those are 2 sports that we normally cover. And then we're gonna get into some movie stuff. We might do some TV show stuff. So more content coming from your boy Cleet the Geek. I'm gonna be here doing my reviews and just dropping content for you. But I'm gonna bring my boy G Dub along. Okay,
Yes,
we're gonna
sir.
do that, and we'll keep the content going. And like I said, we want to make content that you guys engage with. So in the comments, give us your breakdown of this Eastern Conference. On round 1, give us your predictions. Right, talk to us about what you guys are thinking. At the end of the day, this is the playoffs. This is when the NBA really turns on. This is when the season begins. So let's have some fun. Let's get through these playoffs. Let's see who ends up on top. Make sure y'all like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, and we out of here.
All right,
Peace.
y'all. Peace.